I remember coming here 3 years ago and it was like the final and I had the 2 seats behind backstage and I sort of like jumped in and I said, this is a dream for me just to be sitting in one of them. And actually walking down the stairs playing it was sort of like too much of a buzz. I sort of like couldn't catch my breath sometimes.
He's got a big future, obviously, you know. I mean, as I say, a lot of people said after Blackpool, oh, he's going to win this, he's going to win that, he might win the Embassy. But people don't realise, I mean, that when you come up against like the top 16 players, it's a different game. You've got no sort of room for being cocky or messing about. You just got to get the head down and sort of sweat blood out there.
They were sort of like on top of you, and the first day I was sort of like, didn't know where I really was. But I come out here today and I just thought, yeah, just put a smile on your face and walk around.
Ronnie, Tudor Square feels a bit different in the summertime from what you normally know it.
Yeah, obviously, when the snooker's on, this is all full of TV cameras and the TV crew and all that sort of stuff. So you get a feeling that, you know, the tournament's about to begin and that, but obviously we're here now, it's a lot more quiet, chilled out, get to see the Crucible in its normal glory.
You normally go in stage door, we're going to go in the main entrance, which is kind of cool, and this is obviously the home of snooker, but in a lot of ways it's kind of been your home, second home down the years.
Yeah, obviously, like there's no tournament like Sheffield, so obviously once you arrive here for the tournament, you get the buzz. But when the snooker's on, it's, you know, you definitely start feeling the pressure.
I think there's going to be a few butterflies when we start exploring. We've got the place to ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's go and have a look.
Let's have a look.
Yeah. That's your favourite room in at the press, guys? You love them.
You know, you go in there, there's like 30 journalists from all over the world just sort of like all like hemmed in, and this is kind of like my sort of area before I come out and play. I'm pacing up and down here.
Yeah. It's kind of weird being here out of season, if you want to call it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just transformed when the snooker's on. You've got all the previous champions up here, and then they have the big board up there, who's won the tournament, and you can't help but glance at it and see all the great players that have been able to win this tournament.
And this would be what I would call the holding area.
Yeah.
You get a call, the dressing rooms are just through
Yeah.
here, you get a call 3 or 4 minutes. How do you use that time?
Well, I always, like, most of the time I know I'm going to be the last player out, so I'm always waiting a little bit longer, but then I see a lot of the players here standing here chatting to each other, and I'm just thinking, I don't know, what would you say? You know what I mean? Like, you're really nervous, but they seem to be really chilled out and relaxed and chatting. I'm anything but chilled out and relaxed. I'm sort of pent up, and I'm thinking, you know, let's just get out there. So I kind of like distance myself from that and just keep walking. Me and Jimmy were around Ronnie Wood's house one day, and Keith Richards was there, and he was talking about how he feels when he goes out. Yeah. He says, and when I'm in the dressing room, he says, I'm like a caged lion. He said, I just want to get out. And I went, yeah, that's how I feel, you know, especially here at the Crucible, you know.
Yeah. Right, champ, we're going to go through the doors in a minute.
This is the bit that gets you.
Right, it's time.
Time's to go.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
The most explosive talent to break into the modern-day game. He oozes class, and his full of self-belief attitude around the table have made him like a breath of fresh air to the world of snooker. The teenage rocket himself, Ronnie O'Sullivan.
It's just mental.
What's your initial feeling?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, you see these chairs here, so obviously this stage must go, and the tables are put into the pit, sort of thing. And it's just, yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? It's amazing that this has created so much history. Oh, the lights are going.
I want to give you a few seconds to just pick this
wow,
up.
look at that. It is, it's the bee's knees, isn't it? And you think, wow, amazing, amazing. I'm getting a few good, you know, like the hairs on the back of my neck standing up.
Me too.
Because obviously it takes you back. You're here now, it's quiet, it's silent, there's no tables, and you just think, yeah, it's just another theatre. But then this is just immediately taking me back to when my dad, son, daughter, everyone was here. Yeah, just thinking, I can't believe what I've just done.
Just there, we had like 81, the Barry Hearn body check on the Nugget, wasn't it? And Alex right there in 82 with Lauren and the trophy and the tears. And there, the embrace with Judd a few months ago, that was cool.
Yeah, it just all comes back to you, you know, so, I didn't think I'd be so excited. I remember sitting just above there, see where that is there? I was 14. And I come to watch Davis play John Parrott in the final session, 13-3 up. And he won, and he beat him 18-3. I remember I was just sitting two rows back watching the finals, thinking, God, I'd love to play it one day. It's scary. It's on you. You know, you feel like you've got 980 people breathing down your neck. You either sink or swim here. There's no in between.
No.
There isn't. You know, it is a proper gladiator.
What
struck you most? What have you remembered most?
Just the people are so close here. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't. It's like playing at
intimidating.
I've got more space around my club table than I have actually around the match table here.
Ronnie, I suppose in a lot of ways the 2013 title number 5 was the most remarkable out of the 7 because, yes, it was a year off prior to the tournament, but it wasn't an enforced absence, it was on your own terms. So how much of a difference did that make coming in?
I was nervous, obviously, because I haven't played all year, and obviously this such a big tournament. You know, you're kind of looking for some form before the World Championships to kind of see where you're at. So yeah, coming into that World Championship, like I said, I was just really nervous just coming back to the venue. I hadn't seen anyone for a year. Kind of felt like a naughty schoolboy that's just been let back in the classroom, sort of thing. So yeah, it was strange. And listen, I just was happy to be back playing. I wasn't thinking about winning matches or getting to the final or winning the tournament. That was never on the radar, you know.
And the early rounds were good. You beat Marcus Campbell, then you beat Ali Carter in round 2. I thought one of the standout victories you've ever had here was Stuart Bingham, 13-4 on that table just across there. 13-4 in the quarterfinals. That was an awesome performance.
Yeah, I think the draw was pretty okay for me because like, I'd played Ali a lot in practice. I played Stuart a lot in practice. So I think kind of in a way, even though I hadn't had a lot of match practice, there was still that derby feeling effect. So we kind of was giving each other a lot of respect, and which I think really helped me. So that it was kind of a nice draw in many respects. And to beat Stuart like I did was great. And yeah, you know, and it allowed me to get to the one table setup, which was nice.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 8. Graham and Matt, well done, cheers for that.
Well, talking at one table, you then played the new breed, didn't you? You played Judd.
Yeah.
You got the better of him fairly comfortably, 17-11 in the end. Looking back on that, you know, what sort of player was Judd then, and what was your approach going in?
Well, Judd, you know, he's such a great attacking player, you know, so you know he's just going to come and, you know, try and make stuff happen all the time. So, you know, you try and... there's no way to defend against that. All you got to do is just be very clinical yourself, and hopefully when you get your chances, just to pick up the bits and pieces and just keep racking up the frames and stay as efficient as you possibly can, you know. So, and in some ways it was quite a nice match for me because Judd plays a game that I kind of like to play myself, so you can kind of feed off of each other as well. It's quite funny when you look at your career, you kind of go through certain... You know, there's always 3 or 4 top players that you kind of go, OK, we're kind of like sparring against each other. And I've had maybe 3 or 4 different batches of players, if you like, that have had to come through. And each time you feel like you have to reinvent yourself, whether that's to get better. Like Stephen Hendry was always the yardstick. I want to be, you know, I want to play to that level. And then you kind of get to that part, and then you're there. And then there's other people that come along with fresh ideas, different ways of playing certain shots. And you go, OK, I'd like to incorporate some of that in my game. So you're always constantly, well, I have anyway, I've always been trying to reinvent myself, but without really changing too much, you know. It's just sometimes just adding subtle little bits in just to kind of, you know, I always say develop as a player in many ways.
And then the final, you played Barry Hawkins, who came through brilliantly.
By the time I got to the final, I felt like I was match sharp, totally in tune, comfortable out there playing. So it took me all them matches to get to the final to actually think, OK, right, we're OK now. To be honest with you, I think I played probably some of the best snooker I've ever played over that 2-day period against Barry.
Because he played good.
Yeah, he played very, very well. I couldn't shake him off, and I wasn't really bothered about shaking him off either. But I thought, I'm playing so well here. I mean, you know, I expected to, like...
44.
You know, pull away, and they pulling away sort of thing, but he just kept pegging me back. I think I had like 6 entries in that final, but I must have had another 6 or 7, 80+ breaks as well. So I was thinking, you know, I'm scoring as well as I've ever scored. I couldn't play any better, really. Everything I'd done, my safety, my potting, my scoring, it was just, I felt so strong, I felt confident.
surely his greatest ever triumph, coming back after a year out of the game, and once again, as 12 months ago, he picks up his son, Ronnie Jr., to celebrate.
How do you reflect on that now, that the absence, the 10 months or whatever without playing, and couldn't do that now, could you? Or could you?
No, I definitely couldn't get away with it now. There's a lot of things I can't get away with now that I used to get away with, and I'm aware of that, so I make sure that I don't make them kind of mistakes again. But at the time, you know, it was just, I think it made me appreciate the reasons why I come to snooker, and I was like, you know, that was probably the most enjoyable final, that in 2012, out of any of the finals that I've ever played in. You know?
Ronnie, I wanted to revisit one of the difficult moments that you've had here. There's not been that many. One that you lost was 2014 against Mark Selby. Sure you remember.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts thinking back on that one? The one that got away?
In some ways, it was probably the worst and the best moment rolled into one, because obviously losing a final, I said I'd rather lose first round than losing the final, because you've done 17 days of hard work, and then unless you come back with that trophy, it is the biggest waste of 17 days of your life. So in many ways, it was probably the worst experience I've ever had to experience at the Crucible, and then in many ways, it was the best experience, because it learnt me to never allow a game to go that way again. It was sort of like, it made me realise that, you know, I have to find a code to unlock whatever there is in front of me, and I couldn't do that weekend with Mark. You know, he had every answer there was for me. He kind of checkmated me all the time, you know, stopped me from playing, and that's the worst thing that you can ever experience as a sportsman.
Yeah, there was one thing I wanted to ask you, Ronnie. I've always wondered down the years that at frame 23, 11 all, pink and black left, did you miscount the scores, or was it not a case of that, or did you try to pinch the pocket when you missed the pink?
No, I think, like, whenever you get shots like this, you can see where the black is. It's the right shot is to pop the pink and get on the black. And I just think I don't know if I misread the score. I don't know. I just had this thing of just pop the pink and get on the black. You know, if anything, you played a run through, but I think when the bailout shot was to stun it, I just totally cued it really bad, really. For me, although it was a really bad experience, from that experience, from every match that I've played against that type of player, I've now have a formula, a recipe, if you like, which I go into that match. They don't quite know what it is, but it makes me feel like I'm actually looking forward to playing it, and I have a few answers to play the way that I want to play and still compete and not, you know, yeah, and find a way to feel comfortable in them type of matches, you know.
Hi, I'm Ronnie O'Sullivan and welcome to Eurosport Snooker on YouTube. Click here to subscribe to Eurosport Snooker.